Good evening. I'm going to do something tonight that I almost never do, which is I'm going to do a completely talking head donkey training video. The things I've been doing with Buttercup lately, I haven't been able to video because I'm using both my hands directly. One with a lead rope, one with a whip, um, and uh, there are some videos out there. I've got some posted where you can see how I work with those two tools. You know, but a while back she bolted. She got away from me. We were out on the road, and she got scared, and she bolted and got away from me. And nice thing about donkeys is that if they get away from you, they go home. So it's not a disaster. It's just a hassle. But I learned the hard way with Missy and with Abraham that if they bolt and they're going to run, uh, a human being cannot stop them. And if you hold on, you're going to get dragged. Uh, and if you let go, they're going to go home, and you live to try another day. And being dragged by a running donkey is unpleasant, especially if you're on a gravel road. So when she bolted, I let go because you can tell there's a difference between when they give a shot at it and when they just give it all they got. And all they got's way more than all you got. So, and that's always a setback. For them to know that they can bolt away from you and run away, that's a setback. But the whole deal about working donkeys is that you have to have their cooperation. They have to do this because they choose to, because you can't force them to do anything. And the way to work donkeys and be happy with them uh, is to make it a partnership. I feed a lot of goodies. They like goodies, and it's all fun. But at the beginning, it's hard to learn. It's hard for a girl like Buttercup to learn. She grew up a member of a donkey herd in a large donkey farm. Several hundred animals, and in operations at that level, individual animals do not get individual attention. It's just the whole herd. So she's basically a feral animal, 3 years old when I brought her here. Um, Donkeys, all the donkeys I've ever known, uh, have a predisposition towards affection with humans. They're the easiest animals I've ever known to get to cuddle and hug and pet and stuff. They like to be petted on their top knot and all this. And so she was easy from the very start that way. She's always been one who really appreciated affection. And it started out easy. Anyway, so a while back she bolted, she got away. We were out on the road. I go out on the public road when I train. A lot of people don't. A lot of people train in round pens in entirely controlled environments, um, in systematic ways. And I don't say a thing against that. I'm sure that works and works well. I'm just not really able to orient my life that way. So I do it the way I do it, and I train them around in the barnyards and on the roads, and I take them out where I'm going to drive them and stuff. And so we were out on the public road when she got away, and so since then I've mostly worked her just on the farm because there was obviously she registered a difference in her mind about the public road because every time I take her out there, she's immediately more nervous. And then uh, she was antsy last night. She was antsy today, and so I decided it was time to get her to go work. And I took her out, and I worked her where I hold one end of the lead rope, and I hold the whip behind her behind, and we go around and around in circles. I've got videos up there doing that. They call that lunge line. Although I don't do it very well, but that's the idea anyway. Um, and I worked her that way. for a few minutes, and then I headed down the driveway. She was real nervous and real antsy and real tending to bolt. I don't know what it was. A lot of wind today, and of course, high winds make equines nervous. Um, but when she would try to bolt, I would just speak to her. No, and each time she stopped, she got herself back under control. She would take two or three steps, maybe be out to the end of the lead rope, but she got herself stopped each time. And uh, donkeys are they're motivated by food. I use a lot of treats, just plain old treats. But donkeys are also motivated by affection. They're very affectionate animals, and you get one like Buttercup who comes up for pets every time you see her. Uh, you've got a head start right there because when she would stop like that, I would just pet her on the face and tell her what a good girl she is, and to pet her on her top knot and hug her head and tell her what a good girl she is. We did this 3 or 4 times. She was still pretty antsy. Um, and we got all the way out to the road, and she seriously thought about bolting again. But once again, the same process. I just spoke to her, and she landed. She settled herself down, and I went for that for 3 times. And I said, I'm going to take this. And a lot of times, if you can get all the way to a victory, it doesn't matter if it's not very far. You want to take a success home every time you train, if you possibly can. If you want to leave them thinking they accomplished what you wanted and that you were happy with them, and leave them with a memory of actions you like in their head. That's how you want to end always. So uh, we turned around and we walked back up to the driveway, and I just had this kind of an odd thought about her, and I'm going to digress here for a moment. Missy, y'all know who Missy is, my uh, absolute princess work donkey, the one I drive by herself on the doctor's buggy, the one who is most dependable animal I own. Um, when she gets out, which of course they all get out from time to time, when she gets out, I have never ever, since I've had her, successfully put a halter and lead rope on her when she's out. Uh, if Missy's coming back in, she's coming back in because she agrees to come back in. She's not going to be led back in. I can go over to her. I can talk to her. I can touch her. I can pet her. But I can't put a halter or lead rope on her. So I go over and I talk to her and I touch her and I pet her and I tell her she's a good girl. And I say, come on. And I walk back to the barn and she walks with me. And we go into the barn and we're done. The Broke Out Donkeys event is over for today. And uh, so you can't, they're not exactly, they're their own people. Um, but uh, so we got back to the driveway, and I asked her to whoa. And I always carry the whip, and like when I ask her to whoa, I put the whip in front of her face about 4 to 6 inches away from her face. To define a line, I'd like her to stop by that line, please. And that's a, when she does, then she immediately gets a treat. And so that's just a regular practice. And when she won't go or is resistant to going, I reach back and I tap her on the behind with the whip. It's not a whip; it's a really long finger, and that you can touch them with, and but it's there. It's a device to show where my point of intention is to her. So I asked her to stop. I told her whoa, and I put the whip in front of her face, and she stopped. And I took the lead rope that I was carrying, and I looped it around her neck, and I came through the loop, and I looped it around again and came through the loop. So I left the lead rope on her neck, basically in a big loose double half hitch, so it wouldn't fall off and get under her feet. So it would just stay there loosely and not impinge on her consciousness at all. And I said, walk on. We were already on the driveway. We were looking at the barn. So all she had to do to get to where I wanted her to be was walk straight ahead. But there's grass on both sides of the driveway, and she wants to graze. And she's under completely no physical command at all. And as she started to walk, I walked along 2 or 3 steps beside her, and I put my hand out, and I sat it on her haunch, on her rear hip. And I just walked along with her with my hand on her haunch. We got about halfway up to the barn, and she decided she was going to graze on my left, and I was on her left, so that's her head swinging my way. And I held the whip out between her face and the grass, and I said, "Now, babe, walk on." And she straightened her face back around, and she walked on. And she did that twice, and we got through it both times. And then she went to the right, which is away from me. And I dropped back behind her and held the whip out that side. I said, "No, babe, walk on." And when she walked all the way into the barnyard, I said, "Whoa." And I didn't put the whip in front of her because I was behind her. Like I'm walking along with my hand on her hip. And she's a long animal. I don't know how long she is, but she's probably 7 feet long or something. So, my whip's not long enough to get up there. But I said, "Whoa." And she took 2 more hesitant steps, and I said it again, and she stopped right there. And I walked up there and told her what a good girl she was. Took the lead rope off of her and turned her loose to graze. This is these animals are great joy to work with. Uh, it, they're not your slave. They're your friend, and if they decide to do something like this for you, they really leave you with a smile on your face. So thanks for coming along.